What's up, everybody? It's Greg Birch with Delta Financial, and this is the Be the Difference podcast. This podcast is all about making you a better person in your life, in your business, as an entrepreneur, as a sales professional, whatever the case may be. We're here to help you with leadership, sales, mindset, marketing, and everything under the sun. With me, I got the one, the only, the double D, Mr. David Doehring. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, buddy. It's great to be back on the podcast, man.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm glad to have you, bro. This is always a sweet time talking with you.
Looking good, brother.
I appreciate it, man. It's been a crazy ride over the past 6 months, just about 5-6 months.
Yes, it has. I feel like we've all aged about a decade, but hopefully we're a decade wiser in our wisdom,
It's about 10 months wiser, and then a decade.
Yeah.
So man, tell me, man, what's it been like over the past 6 months of this transition, this building period, kind of putting our heads down and just getting to work? What's it been like for you? Talk us through it.
Well, I mean, nothing's perfect. I think we've understood that, we've had our challenges, our obstacles, as we expected. I mean, you can't go into any business or, venture and expect that everything's going to be smooth sailing. That's the wrong mindset heading in. So I think we've been able to adapt pretty well to everything that's been thrown at us. We've been able to kind of dodge or, hop over the obstacles and continue to move forward. Dive. Yeah. Dive, dip and dodge. Little dodgeball reference there. But yeah, I think we've done well. And I think that's due to, obviously the strong set of core values that we have, which will differentiate us from, other companies. So I was chatting about this the other day, and there's a lot of other companies and organizations I've even been a part of, and they say that, hey, we're all about this, but then they actually, based on their actions, do something like completely different and don't actually follow that. So it's almost like, in a way, Greg, kind of like having something hanging on a plaque in the back of your office, like, oh, this is my mission statement, but your actions are not anywhere close to in alignment with that. And so, based on what we've kind of been through, I think all of us have really grown a ton the last 6 months, because we're we kind of got a deep and dirty look of what's actually going on in the back ends of these and higher up levels of these organizations. And we were able to take that and, try to really create something that was different, a better environment for all the agents, based on all the stuff that we've struggled with, we've all failed forward, and we're trying to cut that learning curve, for all the new agents, here, and create the ideal home. But I think it centers around what we've done, what you and obviously Mitch and Kev kind of put together. You guys were the starters of those core values.
Well, I appreciate it, man. And you're not wrong. It really does. Everything comes down to culture. It comes down to core values. When it comes to building an organization, organizational health, and like you said, anytime you're trying to build something, you're going to face challenges. You're going to have to, cross over some hurdles. You're going to have people that try to stall or halt your progress, and that's normal. It's okay, right? We did learn a lot during this process, and it reminds me, when I was in the military, I had this battalion commander who was he was real loud, man. He was real loud, real passionate. Like he was a scream talker. Mm-hmm. Like he would be right beside you, like, and he was tall too. He was almost the same height as me. He was like 6'5", and he'd see me, he'd be like, "Greg, what's up, man? How you doing?" It's like, dude, you are like way too intense right now. Like you're at like 1,000, and I need you at like a 7, bro.
Yeah. Like your maximum is his normal.
Yeah. He was like that all the time. Super intense, really, really passionate guy. And he led a lot of times through passion, and he would be that person that would get upset, and he would just start screaming at everybody. And that was like his barely raised voice for him. And he would be like pointing at his chest, is like, "I'm the battalion commander. That means you got to listen to what I'm telling you." And it was just like, dude, everyone knows you're the battalion commander, bro. Like, relax. And that was what you would characterize as toxic leadership, right? It's okay. And here's why, because I learned just as much from those experiences of what I don't want to do.
Right.
Or maybe I took it because he actually did some things fantastic that I took. I was like, I like how he does this. I like how his mind works here. I don't like this. This is how it makes me feel. This is what I hear from other soldiers, how it makes them feel. So therefore, it probably makes everyone feel that way. Like there's a commonality there. So I'm going to not do these things, but I am going to do these things. So you can still take leadership lessons, learning, and experience. When we looked at the back end of all these like top end or the higher levels of different companies that David and I both were in together, and we saw, I learned a lot. Like I took away what I'm not going to do. I took away how I'm not going to treat other agents. I took away, hey, one of the issues that I'm seeing is this promise of being the best, of the promise of having the best lead, the promise of having good leadership and mentorship, and not following through on it. How do we change that? How do we create a culture to where agents are actually getting that help? And you know, David gives me a lot of credit, but David was just as much as an instrumental piece of this because he came on board. He helped to create those cultural values, those core values, and he helped also implementing it and living by it in his team. So why don't you talk a little bit about that, David?
Yeah. You know, I remember the exact day where I was in my bedroom. It was evening time. You said, "Hey, I've got I've got this draft. What do you think?" And you just kind of threw a document at me, and I read through it and I gave my pointers, and I love what we did with it. You kind of broke it down into 20 plus different really strong ideas, and a little explanation of each. But if you actually take the time and read through each one, which I did, and it's like every single day, you should be implementing, each and every one of those. It should just be kind of who you are. It should be a part of your being, and that's what we're looking for. If you exemplify those things whenever you and they're at the tip of your mind, whenever you talk to new people, you're kind of looking for that, and you're most likely attract those types of individuals just because that's what you're thinking. That's how the universe works, man. That's the law of attraction. So, for me, making sure that we recognize those core values in our trainings more so than, hey, so-and-so closed a bunch of AP. It's like, well, a lot of companies do that. They recognize, certain things, and, recognition is very powerful for anybody, especially in this type of an industry where you're meeting with clients and, you don't have that kind of, a lot of times people are looking to get away from corporate because they're looking for more of a team environment. They're tired of being told what to do. And so recognition can go a long way, but you got to be very careful as a leader. What are you recognizing, right? Like what's most important, to you? Is it when somebody does a lot of business and wins a contest, or is it somebody that exemplifies the core values, that something that might be more in line with the infinite game versus a finite goal of hitting a sales target? So as long as, we as leaders, we're putting the utmost importance, like, hey, this matters more. And you've done that several times with agents where, and we all have, where we recognize them for something that's huge, that's a core value. And lo and behold, very shortly after that, we start to see the success, and everybody else go, wow, this agent is crushing it. And it's like, yeah, but it's not just about the sales and the numbers. That wasn't their focus. And that's not what attracted them to us. We're not looking for like top producers with a crappy attitude, and somebody that doesn't follow, because they're probably going to be more trouble than good, and they'll probably bring the rest of your organization down. Kind of the one bad apple spoils the whole bunch, type of thing. So just kind of speaking, recruiting to the culture, which is why we're very selective. We're not looking to bring on every single agent, even if they're a successful agent. If they don't fall in line with these core values, it's been tried and tested that if we're not doing that, they end up working themselves out one way or the other. And that's kind of what I've seen. So I just try to do my best on any of our team trainings. We obviously have a weekly training where we kind of get together as the leaders and figure out, hey, who should we recognize, who's really going above and beyond and like really in line with these core values. That's something we want to recognize so that we get all the other agents looking and want to be on the same board. Because I'm telling, recognition is so powerful. I know people that would rather be broke and get one chance to, they'll live their whole life broke, but if they get one chance to be on a stage and have people cheer for them, or get some recognition, I mean, that will drive them to go to crazy measures. So,
Yeah.
if you're recognizing the right thing, that can be crucial and really powerful in the right environment.
No, absolutely. I love how, as you're talking through this and I'm listening to you, you referenced like 4 different books worth of information of different books, because it's so, just for context for everyone watching, David and I are avid readers, and we both kind of pick books one after the other, which one we want to read next. And if you go back through and you kind of listen, he can off the top of my head, you mentioned Infinite Game Concepts by Simon Sinek. Start with Why, Simon Sinek.
Law of Attraction.
And that's Michael Lozier, I think.
Yep.
Michael Lozier. But the point is that David spends his time really always trying to professionally and personally develop himself, and it keeps his axe sharp so that when he helps agents, he's at his best. And that's why that's why he has the ability to be very selective about who he works with. And he could say, hey, I don't know if you're a good fit for the Double D agency. This is the expectation we have. And it's not like you have to be a top performer. It's you have to exemplify the right attributes. You have to be a good person. You have to want to always improve. You have to push yourself daily. Right. And having that kind of leader that's also pushing himself, like that kind of leader like David, it unlocks a potential within you, and I guess a thirst to wanna run alongside somebody like that. So it's just a blessing to have you on board, man, and just to see you grow over this.
I appreciate it, brother.
This past 6 months. So
man, awesome. I can say the same thing about you. I was around back in the days where you had just kind of started recording on camera, and I'll tell you, you look and sound a lot different than when you first started recording. We might have to do a before and after, or like a 2-year transformation, because it's wild, man.
It is a lot different.
The fact that just through this whole transition, and I mean, I can't thank you enough for you. You were willing to stick your neck out, for us during tough times, and there were no guarantees of success that things were going to work out. But you believed so strongly in that, you really wanted to make a difference. You were tired of how things were going in the industry. You were tired of the same old crap that all the agents were dealing with. They expressed a lot of the same concerns, and you said, enough's enough. I'm going to put a stop to this. And hey, I'm either going to go out swinging, like I'm going to die trying, or I'm going to do this thing, and I'm going to create a culture that is going to last and be, more long lasting than just when you exit the industry, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to leave like a legacy. I'm going to leave a footprint, and a blueprint for other agents to follow. And so here we are. It's only been 6 months or so.
We're just now hitting the 6-month mark.
I'm super excited for where we're headed, because I think we've got some really strong momentum, and I think the agents are starting to see that we've got something special here, as are other individuals that are applying, and getting a chance to talk and see what we're about.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point here. The when we started in beginning April, beginning April, when all kind of when we're like, hey, we're going to do this.
Yep.
I had spent the last year and maybe 6 months previous to that just seeing and hearing some of the worst stories from agents that either they were on their way out of the industry, they had just left the industry, or they were contemplating like leaving and trying to jump to another company to try to find a safe haven. And I felt terrible. I really did. I was like, man, this is terrible. Like, I wish this wasn't happening. And no matter where I looked, it was like, it wasn't just, well, this is, happening just in this group or just in this group. It was happening across a lot of groups, across the majority of groups.
Yeah.
And I felt as if there was a systemic problem that's almost turning into like a cancer within the industry that's growing at a rapid rate that needs to be excised. And it surrounds leadership. It surrounds good mentorship. It surrounds people taking care of people, because there's 3 million plus licensed life insurance agents in the entire life insurance industry, right? how many of them do you, if you were to have to guess, how many do you think are actually having success? I mean, any modicum of success, and that means they're selling at all. How many do you think are actually making a good living? How many do you think are actually wealthy? Right. And when you break down those numbers, it's in the, even at the highest amount of, hey, how many are actually having success? It's like less than 10%. So
Yep,
it's kind of disgusting. Like,
it
how do
is.
we have so many licensed agents? And let's be real, a career field, that's not rocket science.
Far from it. Far from
it's
it.
it's far
Basic
from it.
communication, right? You know,
Yeah,
you can
it's a
you can have a
communication
conversation.
platform. Yeah. And so when you break it down like that, it's like, why do we have so many challenges and issues within this industry? And it breaks down to training and leadership. It doesn't break down to having the best leads. It doesn't break down to having the best comp. It doesn't break down to having whichever carrier, because there are captive agencies that are selling, right?
Yep.
It doesn't break down to it. It breaks down to mindset, leadership, and training. Do they have the actual tools mentally, educationally, and the courage to implement them because they were actually taught appropriately? So they have that courage that they're like, I'm willing to step out into the unknown and test this and try it and see if it works and make some money.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, you bringing that up and talk about that, because that was what we believed so heavily in it.
Yep.
We believed all together, so it was so powerful that it drove us, that we're like, this may not work. This we may try this and it fall on its face, but we're willing to give it our all. Like, this is it. If we're going all in, Delta Financial, this is what we stand for, is about being a difference in the industry, being a difference in people's lives. And we're doing this. And it was like all of us together, we're like, huzzah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking, like, we were prepared for a battle.
Yeah.
We were prepared to get stabbed in the back. We were prepared for, people to trash talk and do all that stuff. And it's like, if you're prepared for it, it doesn't phase you, right? The stuff that I think somebody just said, but it's like, it's not the hardest punch that will get you. It's the one that you don't see coming.
Mm.
And so if you're kind of mentally prepared, which, by the way, the only thing that we can control is our attitude and our outlook towards things. That's it. We can't control anything else. So if you worry about trying to control this or that, or what a client says or what an agent says or does, you're kind of acting like a rocking chair, kind of like, it's like worrying, right? I mean, but for me, I think it's just it's super important to, keep in mind and tell yourself that, look, I can control my attitude, and, leadership is part of that. And so that's why, like you said, we've got to stay sharp. You've got to continue, to improve. If you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And now I love the quote that it's like, there is no such thing as bad weather, right? There's just weather and your attitude and outlook towards it. So I think that's huge, man. If we continue to do that, we're gonna change some lives for sure. And I think we're that both on the agent and client side, which really excites me. As that's what gets me going, is, when we're able to share some tools and stuff to skills to agents, that we transfer those skills, they have success for their family, but most importantly, there's clients that they're sitting with that probably would never get a chance to sit with another advisor. They're able to get helped and put in a better situation and potentially change the legacy of their family from being, broke or middle class or poor and getting poorer to, hey, now we're leaving behind a bunch of wealth, and now they're doing the right things for their families because they were taught. It's like you said, that butterfly effect, that can be, I can just go so far. You never know. And so just something as simple as you and I, reading some books together and, honing our craft and getting sharper, we could say something or lead an agent in a way that gets them to click, and then they go out and they start having success, and boom, you have no idea what that could actually do. So that gives me the chills, man. I love that stuff.
Yeah. This has just been a great conversation. We just wanted to kind of keep it quick and talk a little bit about culture, the impact of implementing a culture, the impact of having core values and kind of standing by them, and picking and selecting, attracting the right people based off of those tenets. Maybe we can have another talk in the future where you can kind of hone in on a little bit more on, like, strategies and ways that you actually implement the culture into your organization. Like, how does it feed into organizational health and all that? I mean, we could sit here and talk about culture and core values in a great deal
for hours.
For hours.
We have,
we have. But the point of this is to give you guys kind of a tidbit, a little bit of an explanation and a takeaway that you can apply to your business. So if anything, what I would take away is two things. A, if you're not in an organization that you definitely 1000% believe in everything, and I'm talking about like you love everything they stand for, like actually ask, what's the company's vision? What's its mission? What are the core values? Like if you can't say those things, you don't actually know that you love everything they stand by, if you know what I mean. So if you're at that point, you have to ask yourself, well, what do they stand for? And am I aligned with it? Right? If you're recruiting or you're building your agency, you need to have your own vision, your own mission, your own core values, or you have to have a company one that you are what's called nested with, which means that you emulate or you're repurposing as your own. Okay.
Yep.
You have to do the same thing. And you have to exemplify that and attract the right people as you're recruiting that will live by that as well. Because when you have that marriage of the people that believe in the same things across the from the agent to the IMO or the agency or whatever you are, and back and forth, it's not a additional effort, it's a multiplication effort. Like it's called a force multiplier. And it's called a force multiplier, and then the military uses this term. It's called that because when that happens, everyone's efforts are multiplied because they're all in alignment together, going towards the same goal. And so you start doing this, you start recruiting that way, like David's talking about, you're going to change your entire agency. You're going to change the impact you have on the agents that you're bringing on. It will be much more meaningful. It will change the conversations that you're having during your recruiting process and during your hiring process, during your selection process. Yes, you should be selecting the right people. It shouldn't just be, oh, you have your license, come on board.
Yeah.
What if that person has, what you don't know is they just wrote $200,000 worth of bad debt, and it hasn't rolled up yet. It hasn't hit a vector yet, but they're coming to you to be like, hey, let me go ahead and transfer my contracts over here.
Yep.
And you have no idea.
And you take them with open arms like a knucklehead, and guess who's going to get burnt, you know?
Yeah. So it's making sure that you're protecting your organization, your higher headquarters, your agents from being in that experience, because when you're recruiting, you're the leader and you are responsible for everything that does and does not happen within that organization. So, David, I appreciate you coming on, man. Is there, if for anyone that wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way they can reach you?
Well, you see here on the screen, you can shoot me a DM on the Instagram, or you can reach out to me, my personal cell, 760-505-2641. Usually you respond a little bit quicker via text message because I'm in appointments a lot.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you for having me on, man. The podcast is back, baby. I'm fired up about it.
I'm fired up about it too, man. I'm excited. So David is the advanced markets director. He does a lot of advanced markets appointments. He does joint appointments with new agents coming on board to help teach them and train them to get them rolling quickly. So he's actually going to be jumping off here. He's got about 3 minutes to jump into one. So we're closing it out now. I appreciate everyone coming on board. This has been the Be the Difference podcast. It's all about making you a better person in your life and in your business.